In this video, we're going to talk about finding percents of a number. So this first example is pretty straightforward. What is 50% of 80? Again, I'm going to give you a couple different ways to find the answer. I'm hoping that some of you look at this and you're like, oh, 50%, that's half. So half of 80 is obviously 40. You are correct. If you are someone who doesn't see that, that's okay. We can use a calculator like we talked in the last section. We just have to be able to translate or convert 50% to a decimal. And I'm hoping you notice that 50% is the same as 50 over 100, 50 hundredths, which is the same as 0 and 50 hundredths, and there's our percent. So in our calculator, we are going to write 0.5. Ms. Cooper, can I put 0.50? You can. It doesn't matter. I just put 0.5 because I'm lazy and it's the same thing, so it doesn't make any difference. So again, that's 0.5 times 80. And your calculator will spit out 40. This next example says, what is 70% of 10,000? Again, a couple ways to go about it. I'm very familiar with percent, so I'm able to think, okay, 70% of 10 is 7. So 70% of 10,000 is simply going to be 7,000. If that's still a little hard for you to wrap your brain around, we'll use the calculator. 70%, I'm hoping this is getting easier for you, same as 70 hundredths, which is the same as 0 and 70 hundredths. Or in our calculator, I'm simply going to write 0.7 times 10,000. And the calculator spits out 7,000. In this example, it says complete the following statement. 55% of $980 equals. I don't know exactly what this is in my mind, but if it was like I was at a store and I was trying to figure it out, like, oh, it's 55% off or something, 55% is close enough to 50%. And $980 is close enough to $1,000 that I'd say, okay, what's about half or 50% of 1,000? 500. So I know my answer is going to be something close to 500, but I don't know what that is. So again, I'm going to pull out my calculator and I'm going to say, I hope it's okay if I start just doing 0.55, but I'm not sure because I'm going to do 0.55 times 980. Ms. Cooper, where'd that 0.55 come from? Hopefully you know 55% equals 55 over 100, which is the same as 55 hundredths. So that's where it came from. In my calculator, I wrote 0.55 or 55 hundredths times 980. And my answer is $539. So as I said, I knew it would be closest to 500. I wasn't exactly sure. And that confirms for us that 539 makes sense. This question says, so this is a new kind of type of question, $10 is what percent of $40? It looks a little confusing like that. This is like if you got a score on a quiz, 10 out of 40, and you want to know what the percent is. A couple ways to do it. First, my thought is I recognize that 10 is a quarter of 40. Like what I mean is if I think of 40 as my whole, I'd have 10, 10, 10, and 10. So I can immediately tell you, okay, that's like a quarter, which is also 25 out of 100. So that's going to be 25%. But if you're someone who doesn't see that, you can again use the calculator. And I'm glad I wrote this over here because I think that's a more visual way of thinking about it. 10 out of 40. In your calculator, you're simply going to write 10. Oops, let's do it in black. 10 divided by 40, which your answer will come out to be 0.25. So this is where you need to recognize that 0.25 or 0 and 25 hundredths is again the same as 25 over 100 or 25 hundredths, which is the same as 25%. This example says, complete the following statement. Write your answer as a decimal or a whole number. What percent of $10 is $1. So again, I don't really like the way that looks, but they're asking you what, like 1 out of 10. What percent is the 1 of 10? So a couple ways. First way, I recognize in terms of parts, if 10 is my whole, and there's, I'm looking at ones, I'm splitting it up into 10 pieces. That's 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10's my whole. I have $1 in each equal part. What's 10, or sorry, this is 10% or 1/10. Really, this one's a bit funny because the answer is kind of given away to you here. 1 divided by 10 is the same as 1/10 or 10%. And the answer is 10%. If you don't see it with these visuals, try with your calculator. You're going to do the division. Like we have here, it's 1 out of 10. So we're going to, in our calculator, we're going to write 1 divided by 10. And the answer it's going to give us is 0.10, which again, I'm hoping you quickly recognize is the same as, so 0 and 10 hundredths is the same as 10 hundredths, which is the same as 10%. 10. Another similar looking example. Complete the following statement. Write your answer as a decimal or a whole number. What percent of $8 is $6? So I like to write it this way because it's more visual. So what percent is the 6 out of the 8? My gut instinct is, hey, I recognize that 6/8, that's like 3/4. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be 75%. To visualize that, if 8 is the whole, 2, 2, 2, 2. Hey, this part would be 6. So that's 3 out of 4, 3/4. That's the same as saying 75 out of 100. If you didn't catch how I got that, times 25 times 25. So that is 75%. If your brain doesn't see that, don't worry. You can do use a calculator and do the division. 6 divided by 8. It will give you 0.75. Then you need to recognize 75 hundredths, same as 75 hundredths, same as 75%. In this last one, it says 36,000 is what percent of 90,000? Write your answer using a percent sign. I'm not sure. I can't, that's not an easy number for me, but what I do notice is 30,000-ish of 90,000. That's like 1/3, which is about 30-something percent. So I think my answer is going to be somewhere around 30-ish in terms of percent. Let's rewrite this. 36,000 out of 90,000. So I'm going to have to just put this one in my calculator because I'm not sure. So I'm typing in 36,000 divided by 90,000 equals, calculator says 0.4. So I was a bit low in my estimate because 0.4, remember that's the same as writing 0.40 or 40 hundredths, which is the same as 40 hundredths, which is the same as 40%. 40%. Having seen that answer, now I'm thinking, and I'm impressed if you noticed this before, hey, if I divide this by 9, divided by 9,000, both can be divided by 9,000. 90,000 divided by 9,000 is 10. 36,000 divided by 9,000 is 4. So it equals 4/10, which is the same as 40 hundredths, which gives us our 40%. I didn't notice that right off the bat. Some of you might have. Good on you if you did. But remember, we can always default with the calculator if those things don't jump out at us. Okay, good luck with this section.